Breaking up was never something I thought I'd go through at 24. But here I was, picking up the pieces after a relationship that had lasted nearly 3 years. It wasn't a dramatic breakup. No big blow-ups or betrayal. It just wasn't working anymore. But even that kind of quiet ending left its mark. I had always been the type of person who clung to comfort, and nothing had felt more like comfort than spending time with my ex, watching late-night movies, ordering takeout, and most importantly, going for walks in the neighborhood. It was a simple thing, but I missed it terribly. One evening I found myself walking aimlessly, hoping that the fresh air would somehow help clear my head. The sun was just starting to dip, casting long shadows down the street. I made my way through familiar streets where the houses seemed to whisper memories. I wasn't planning on going to the park, but somehow I ended up there. It wasn't a popular spot, but the bench by the lake was a place we used to sit for hours, talking about everything and nothing. I felt a pang in my chest, but I didn't let myself turn back. I sat down, trying to center myself in the quiet surroundings. Just as I was starting to relax, I heard footsteps behind me. "You okay?" a voice asked, soft but sudden. I turned around, startled. A man stood a few feet away. He was tall, with a dark jacket and a baseball cap, which he pulled off as he greeted me. Something about the way he looked at me made me uneasy. Not threatening, but too intense, like he was studying me. "Yeah, just thinking," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Mind if I sit?" he asked, gesturing to the empty spot beside me. I hesitated, but something about his calm demeanor made me nod. We sat in silence for a moment. His presence felt oddly familiar, though I was sure I didn't know him. The breeze picked up, ruffling the leaves in the trees above us. Then he spoke again. "You live around here?" he asked, his voice casual, but I could tell he was looking for something more than small talk. I nodded. "Just down the road a little." Nice area." His eyes flicked to the street behind me before focusing back on me. Something about the way he scanned the surroundings felt off. We exchanged a few more words. It wasn't a great conversation, but I didn't feel threatened enough to leave immediately. That is, until he leaned in slightly and said, "You know, it's funny. I've seen you before. At the grocery store last week, right? Same coat." My heart skipped a beat. "What?" I blinked at him, trying to make sense of his words. "Oh, yeah," he smiled, but it was the kind of smile that didn't reassure me. "You were in the self-checkout line. Nice coat, though. Really suits you." I felt my stomach twist. No one noticed what I wore, and I certainly hadn't seen him there. The way he described it was too specific. "I don't remember you," I said, my voice suddenly colder. The man's smile faltered, and for a moment his eyes glinted with something unreadable. Then, as quickly as it came, the tension seemed to dissipate. "Guess it was just a coincidence. I tend to remember faces." "Right." I stood up, feeling the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. "I should go." The man stood up too, almost too quickly. "Sure, no problem." "Take care," he said, his voice soft but now with a sense of finality. I walked quickly out of the park, the quiet, dark streets suddenly feeling claustrophobic. My mind was racing, trying to figure out how he knew about the store visit. But when I glanced back, he wasn't following. I let out a breath, trying to calm myself down. I got home and immediately checked my phone. There was a notification from my security system. New motion detected. I opened the app and checked the camera feed from my front door. My heart dropped. The same man from the park was standing in front of my house. He wasn't doing anything except standing still, staring at my door. Panic flooded me, and for a moment I stood frozen. Was he watching me? Had he been here before? I rushed to close all the curtains, praying he wouldn't notice. The next few hours felt like an eternity. Every noise outside made me jump. I tried to call someone, but the feeling of being watched was too overwhelming. Around midnight, I heard the distinct sound of a car engine. I peered through the window, careful not to be seen, and saw the same man's car parked across the street. He was sitting inside, just watching. I felt my heart race again, and this time I knew I had to act. I called the police and gave them all the details I could, but they couldn't do much without him doing something overt. They told me to stay inside and keep my doors locked. The next time the car moved, I would need to report it. I stayed up all night, too afraid to close my eyes. Every hour I checked the cameras. The car was still there when the sun came up,